Yeah, let's continue on to part 2 since we're here. And hopefully on Sunday we'll do actual game things.
Sorry, I just threw up a little bit looking at that thing you're holding.
Yeah.
We need 2 people with ranged guns.
No, we need 4 people with the same firearm. That way, instead of covering our weaknesses, we'll just have a big old strength.
It's logic like that that led to the Bradley. God, what a nightmare of a vehicle that thing is. At least the modern ones kind of work.
Have you ridden in one?
Yeah. I had to know how to fix the main gun on one.
I didn't.
Because tell me how that qualifies as small arms.
There is a whole story
That's what I
behind
tell
that.
people. My job while I was in the military was to fix everything from 9mm pistols to 155mm howitzers. And that included the M242 chain gun on a Bradley.
That's a lot of millimeters to fix.
Muchos milimetros. We just gotta...
Check out my panko.
Before anyone starts, I am aware that Pentagon Wars that Colonel Burton is not the hero he likes to paint himself as. This does not change the fact that the original production of the Bradley actually was a disaster. It was fixed, not thanks to Colonel Burton. Colonel Burton had nothing to do with it. But if you actually look at the chain of designs that led up to the Bradley's production, that part is correct, and there's a lot of disasters, and there's a lot of actual, let's make the thing amphibious. Let's make this armored vehicle amphibious. And like it did actually have a problem with its aluminum armor. Again, Colonel Burton had nothing to do with fixing it, but it did actually have a problem of aluminum armor that burned. It was like titanium aluminum, so it burned and produced toxic gas. But the actual production of the Bradley is hilarious when viewed from the outside. Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. The Bradley is a nonsense vehicle that has finally been fixed. The current version is actually a pretty cool vehicle. But if you look into the history, the production stage part of the Bradley is pretty accurate. When you look at Pentagon Wars, just ignore the rest of the movie. Because Colonel Burton... Colonel Burton is not a good person. So most of that movie, bad. But the actual production phase, when you look at it, is a simplified version of what the Bradley actually went through. Some of the vehicles that were stages of the Bradley production are just 100% what on earth were they thinking? The portholes are real. The portholes were real, by the way. So the men can shoot at whatever they can't hit with the cannon. And as someone who actually has worked in military contracting, that like 12-minute sequence on the production of the Bradley from the movie was shown on day 1. And we actually had to take a class on, see this here? Never let it happen again. So I actually got the inside scoop on the production of the Bradley as part of it, because my company was part of it. And so we actually got all the details, and we're basically told it was a masterclass on things not to let the government people do. It was basically all the ways to tell the government no without saying the word no. So I'm very careful. Yeah, it's not that I don't swear, it's just that I'm usually much, much more angry when I'm swearing. But yeah, we actually had to take a like 2-hour class as part of our day 1 training on the Bradley and what not to do. I just had to say that. Colonel Burton, Had nothing to do with fixing it, though. I need to stress that. If you watch Pentagon Wars, understand that it's propaganda that Colonel Burton himself paid for.
Oh, jackhammer! Yeah, I'm gonna drill you. I want to press forward, but we got some narrow chokes here. Cover me, I'm reloading! And my weapon's jammed! And also parts of it are broken, and I can't find replacements!
Yeah, and you have to disassemble 90% of your gun to reload it. I don't know about that. I've got my trusty gyrojet pistol.
I want one so
It's
bad.
a rocket gun.
A rocket gun.
It's a rocket gun.
Uh-huh.
It fires little tiny rockets.
Does it fire high ordnance little tiny rockets?
No, there is just a little tiny solid rocket.
Tiny little BBs coming out of that thing?
It's a 50 cal. So no, it's not tiny.
Okay. That cannot fire a 50 cal. Look
To
at
be
that
fair,
thing.
50 caliber
How
for
many
a
of these
rocket
have you
is very
fired in your
small.
life?
I've not fired a single one ever.
Are they real guns?
Yeah, they're real. They were sold commercially on the market. They just failed to take off, so to speak.
Are they banned under U.S. regulations? Seeing
Nope.
as how it's a frickin' rocket?
Nope, you can totally own one.
Oh, probably because it's not that big a deal.
Yeah, not really. They weren't that great. I mean, basically, if I were to shoot this gyrojet at you from this distance, it probably would do nothing to you. It would.
Yeah, for something like the first 20 feet out of the barrel, the gyrojet bullet would bounce off of a person.
Feel like getting shot with a paintball.
You said 50 cal, and that raised my expectations.
Yeah, see, look, check this out.
Did you fire that thing?
Yeah, I did. I just shot it at you.
I thought a mosquito bit me.
I know, right?
Huh.
But if you're like 20 meters away and I shoot this at you, then it's really gonna hurt. Because then the rocket will have reached its terminal speed, which is
Oh.
enough to kill you.
How much explosive is packed in there?
None. It's just a little tiny solid
These are
rocket.
These are also the prototypes for what is essentially bolter technology. So if you like any kind of weapon that's the bolter style with a bullet that is fired and rocket traditionally and has a rocket motor for extended range, these are essentially the prototype for that.
Doubts as to the efficacy of this weapon.
I mean, it was intended as a commercial thing. It was never really intended to be used as like a military weapon. But because there were so few of them made, and
It was actually, among other things, it works underwater. So there was actually a military intent behind the gyrojet. But the fact that you can't use it at short range is what killed its military application, because, you know, if it's your weapon and you run into someone at point blank range, you need a weapon that isn't going to bounce off the guy 4 feet in front of you, which is exactly what they did, and why the military. Well, okay, that was part of the reason why the military canceled it. The other part was because they kept playing with the ammunition, because unlike bullets, you could actually play more with the rockets in terms of how it worked. And the production version of the rockets were much weaker than the original prototype rockets, and the hammer for the gun is actually on the front. How it works is the hammer hits the front of the rocket, which pushes it back into the firing pin, which ignites it. And then the rocket flies forward and has to push the hammer back down, cocking it and out of the way, on its way out to... How does this keep getting screwed up? How does my... What is going on? How does this thing's calibration keep getting screwed up? Anyways, it has to push back past the hammer, which cocks it, in order to then get the rest of the way out of the barrel. The production model rockets struggled to push the hammer out of the way. One moment, I'm going to see if I can quickly fix this. It's on the settings that it was. What is its problem? I have no idea what is with this thing's calibration. That should be fixed. But yeah, they had problems.
They're highly valued as collector items. People seem to think it has this mythical status that it's
The problem is,
a god-killing gun.
for those who couldn't see, the problem was the fact that when I was putting my hands out, I was like going that thing where they go all the way out. I probably should make myself slightly smaller. There we go.
But
Oh.
it really isn't.
So it's just like the Pancord jackhammer, only you like this for some reason.
I think it's kind of neat.
Also, it's not like the
I've
Panko
never heard of
jackhammer.
this
They
gun
did make a
before.
lot of
I
them.
seriously doubt it.
They just didn't
exists.
last
But here we
long.
are, the Star Vegas warehouse.
Oh, it exists. Ow, ow, ow!
Look at me using an actual caliber of weapon. It's actually doing damage.
Yeah, this gun
this
is
is
not
way
great.
too close
It's
for
not
the-
great.
for
Turns
the
out it's
gyro
better
jet.
for target shooting.
You're basically firing at 22. That's how effective it is.
Yeah, it's not super great. That is somewhat accurate that the officer is the only one with a submachine gun. Everybody else had like semi-auto rifles,
Oh.
even though technically they should have had bolt actions. But whatever.
Are you saying that's how the original Nazis had the leadership structure?
Every squad had a machine gun, a rifleman, and then usually the squad leader had a submachine gun. And the entire way their squad level tactics worked was to set up the machine gun in a position and then use the squad to funnel enemy soldiers into the machine gun's line of fire.
Mm-hmm.
So usually the squad leader was the only one with a submachine gun.
I'm glad they did the research for this mod. It's impressive.
I find that kind of interesting that they actually did that. Behold, the PB9!
Yes, the Peanut Butter 69.
Why was it so loud? It shouldn't be. It's an integrally suppressed Makarov pistol.
Makarov.
So you remember how I found the Makarov earlier?
Yeah.
This is an integrally suppressed one.
It looks like a flare gun. The barrel is huge.
Well, yeah, it's because it's a suppressor.
Oh, was that what that's supposed to be?
Yeah, that
Bolt
thing on the end
actions
is a
existed
giant
and are
suppressor.
fairly
And
cheap.
you'll
Yes, they
notice
were.
The sights, if you zoom in on them, you got a dot on the rear sight and a dot on the front one, and you would just put radium paint on them so you could use it at nighttime. It's supposed to be real quiet.
And give yourself
I
radiation
don't know why
poisoning.
this one is so much louder.
The suppressor part ain't working.
Anyway, it's an interesting little gun. It's really cool. I've always wanted one, and I think the reason I want one is because I can't have one.
Not legally sold.
Because they're Russian, and
Ah.
also, by all reports, they're not exactly great.
I wouldn't have assumed as much. I've not really heard of the gun. I don't know why you were so excited to get that in the first place, but
Well, because I've always wanted one. See, look at it.
despite the fact that it's
Oh, you know what? I wonder if maybe it just doesn't have the suppressor on the end yet. I mean, technically, yes, it's integrally suppressed, but not really because there might need to be more suppressor.
maybe we need to find a mod for it.
The PB is an interesting gun because it pretty much was a design principle of, we have a Makarov and we want a Makarov that'll be real quiet. What can we do? So they just hacked
AK,
the
but
whole
quiet.
front of the slide off. I'm not even joking. They literally just, on the original ones, they just took a Makarov slide and then the buzzsaw and just went, "Eep," and just cut the slide off and then made a new barrel for it.
Okay.
The fuck is that?
It's
A
my new
nightmare.
weapon.
What the actual shit fuck?
It's a grenade launcher. Would you like to try it? Or you would like to see it in action?
That is a cursed gun.
I think it's beautiful.
I think it's an abomination unto God.
It's a beautiful little snowflake.
I think it's an abomination unto John Moses Browning,
Okay.
who, as we all know, is firearms god. Where's my grenade launcher? Where's my grenade launcher?
Oh, sorry. I upgraded it.
Are you that's my grenade launcher?
Yeah, right here. You want it back?
You
Okay.
took my grenade launcher and you ruined it!
You can have
You
it.
turned it into a monster!
Oh, you haven't given it a chance. It's still
You
fine.
ruined it!
It's good still. You gotta try it out.
The other one got away now because I was so... You ruined my perfect...
Also note that the sights are on the side instead of on the front like they're supposed to
My
be.
grenade
Or on
launcher,
top.
Betsy, is dead!
We've just established that her name was Betsy.
The fuck even is this thing? My
Yeah, see those
God,
things winging
it's
out to the side?
awful!
Those aren't supposed to be
Give
there.
it a chance.
Well, I can't. It's broken.
Fix it, then give it a chance. Actually, that's when I picked up. Yours is fine.
Where's mine?
It's in storage.
Why didn't you tell me before I started shooting you then?
Because I've developed a fetish for being shot. Ew. Thanks for fulfilling my every need, Zach.
Oh, they came back!
Hooray! Return to the scene of the crime that we committed.
I thought you actually ripped apart my grenade launcher and slapped the barrel onto the back of an M79 receiver.
And you were unhappy with that idea?
Yeah, I was very unhappy with that.
Mike is very much
Oh
worried.
my god, this thing's a massive piece of crap.
Is it? What? It's just a hodgepodge of parts, huh?
Yes, it's just a bunch of parts that were slapped together haphazardly to make a thing that looks kind of like a gun.
That's how the Russians make their weapons, right? They slap parts together and call it good.
No, they actually do a decent job building stuff. I immediately do not want this weapon anymore.
Yes, the masochism is accurate. Oh,
Ford!
no.
I'm golfing!
Looks like someone brought a sword to a sign fight.
I made golf Whoa! Bear's leg! Oh! Yes, bear's leg!
Is it a shotgun of sorts?
Also one I want.
It's a 44 Magnum, so it's the same thing as like the cowboy gun, except that it's real tiny. It's basically a Winchester 1892 lever action rifle that's been cut way down, so it's just a pistol now.
Wouldn't that give it a huge amount of recoil?
Nah, it's still not bad.
Why not?
Yeah, it's just firing powerful
Have you
pistol
ever
rounds.
fired
it's
like
fine.
a lever action in a pistol caliber?
I think if you cut the barrel, it makes the recoil worse, doesn't it?
Theoretically, but there's still a decent amount of weight to it, so the recoil is actually not bad.
Okay.
Are you foolish enough to believe that he will keep his word after witnessing how he treats those who incur his wrath?
Is
Nice
that lady
voicing.
back there holding a P90?
Junkies over at Vault 3
Oh, shit,
I say
son! Hang on, hold still.
Come on! Oh, no!
No!
That's Starfield level of
I don't
NPC
know why you even want
immunity.
the P90 anyway. Ooh, it's an ambidextrous assault rifle.
It's not an assault rifle, it's a personal defense weapon! Oh, God, I'm not using this.
You said you wanted it.
No.
Yes, those were your words. I hope you die so I can have your gun.
No, I wanted the P90.
You said you also wanted this gun.
I never said that.
Jesus.
I never once said those words. What is this?
It's a revolver.
It's called a BFR.
No, it's in 4570 government.
Okay.
You don't want a revolver in 4570. That's stupid.
What's your preferred revolver caliber?
Anything under 4570. Or 500 Smith & Wesson, because 500 Smith & Wesson is stupid. Never buy a gun in 500 Smith & Wesson.
So 4569, eh? Nice. What don't you like about it? The fact that it's too powerful?
The fact that it weighs 7.5 pounds. Revolvers should not weigh 7.5 pounds. They also shouldn't be in 4570.
You know, people put a lot of effort into some of these weapons. Just like they put a lot of effort into the mods.
Oh yeah, they put a whole lot of effort through it. I can see through a hole in the rear sight. That isn't the rear sight. I'm looking through the frame of the gun right now.
Well, Zach, why don't you use the gun that you made? Oh, that's right. You don't make mods. You just complain about.
Hey, this weapon's pretty effective.
See, I told ya.
Well, Mike,
Yeah, if you build a revolver that
Mike's successfully getting shot again. And also, speaking of mods real quick, I don't know if you guys have seen it yet. They've kind of been already in the shut up, don't talk about it phase. Bethesda decided to make another dumb decision. After the utter disaster that Starfield has been, as I have talked about at length, they updated Skyrim, because they can't stop, to break all community mods. Because they've decided to bring back the Creation Club. For those of you who don't know, in I think 2015, 2014, something like that, Bethesda wanted to take over the mod community and sell mods so they could make money. And they actually stole mods to use that community members had made for free to use in their Creation Club. There was a ton of backlash, and they said, okay, we're going to shut down the Creation Club and let you go back to modding. They're trying it again. They just updated Skyrim, broke all the mods for it, and have brought the Creation Club back, saying, if you want mods, buy them through the Creation Club so we can get a cut. I don't think Bethesda is long for this world. Starfield was a disaster. They've ruined the one game that's made them any meaningful amount of money in decades. Fallout 76 has been a disaster, and no one has any faith in Elder Scrolls 6 anymore, except for the people that are truly deluded and refuse to give up on Bethesda. It's probably over.
It's strong enough to handle 4570. It ends up weighing like 7 pounds, and it's called a Magnum Research BFR, which stands for Big Frame Revolver. If they were gonna call it that, they should have just committed and called it the Big Fucking Revolver.
But it's who's to say it's not a powerful weapon though?
I'm sure it is a powerful weapon. It's also stupid. 500 Smith & Wesson is a powerful weapon, and guess what? It's stupid.
All right.
Making a Desert Eagle and 50 Action Express is powerful and stupid. It serves no purpose. There's no reason to have a Desert Eagle and 50 AE.
We just
It's mostly that because you can.
it fires really.
Todd is off his meds, I guess. I don't know what happened to Todd. He's just completely lost it.
Fast and is kind of loud and intimidating.
He took an AR-15 lower receiver and I put like the recoil system in the top of it. This is just an AR-15 lower receiver. How does it even shoot bullets?
What?
There are actually AR-15 uppers that remove the buffer tube system in the stock. So that's perfectly fine, technically.
What, you don't think it works?
No!
Try pulling the trigger, see if it works. Hey, it works!
So dumb. I hate it.
Look up bufferless.
This weapon is good.
Look up bufferless AR-15 sometime. There's a bunch of different ways to do it.
I just wish it didn't look so stupid.
You gotta stop hating on things just because they're unique.
I don't like how it looks. It's boring to me.
Oh, you need a paint job for it, huh? We can pimp out your gun. Welcome to Zach's Pimp My Gun Show.
Ugh. Yeah, get him, Willow. What the?
Yeah, get ready to die, punks.
Like, what in the God's name is that thing?
It's my gun.
It is the Joker gun.
That is so stupid.
You know how you always say, the longer the barrel, the more accurate your shots?
Yes, yeah,
So
technically.
I'm never gonna miss now.
I think it's gonna be.
There's a caveat to that. Once you get past a certain length for a cartridge, it actually reduces your accuracy and your velocity because the powder only burns for so long. Once the powder is all burnt out in the barrel, it actually then creates a vacuum because the bullet still has to keep going past the atmospheric pressure or explosive pressure within the gun, and it slows the bullet down again before it reaches the end of the barrel. Now, you've got to have some really long barrels in order to get to that point, but that revolver actually, for the revolver, it doesn't actually matter anyways because of the cylinder gap. So that barrel's just slowing it down, period. The cylinder gap means that you're not even getting a whole lot of advantage from the pressure or anything from it.
It'd be really hard to get a consistent sight picture with that thing.
Yes.
You're flagging me with that.
No, I'm not. I'm shooting past you.
Also, the bullets are sticking. What is going on with that thing?
That is a poorly modeled
Oh
gun.
my god.
I'm gonna put a bayonet on it. That way I never even have to get close to the enemy.
He's got this goofy Smith & Wesson 38 special revolver that is so frickin' broken in every conceivable way. Hope has turned her back on me. Let's go. I'm gonna get out of the way of that.
Whoop, what the hell? What? Stairs here. Alright.
Can you stop? Can you stop pointing that thing at me?
Am I invading your personal space a little bit? What is that?
Oh, is that a VSS Ventores?
How the hell have you let them
Hold,
get
please.
this far?
Woohoo! I have an integrally suppressed submachine gun now.
Here we go again.
Whoa!
Oh!
Safety
What?
railings missing there.
Safety railings.
What? Thank you for the raid. Hi, Lunar Raven. Hi, thank you. Hello. Been a while since... I don't think we've gotten a chance to use the new raid alert yet. Hi, welcome raiders. I am not feeling well, so it's just React Night. I normally play whatever video games I feel like. But tonight we're just reacting to some Zach's gun rants because I am not feeling well. Though this is at least waking me up, which is good. But yes, hi, welcome. I am Xaifax. I am a Chimera VTuber. I have switches. What just happened? What? No, why? Why would you do that? No!
Sorry, I just threw up a little bit looking.
Where's the VSS Ventors? Okay. I am sick tonight. I'm in a little bit better mood than I've been in most of the day, though, because I've been streaming and it has been a very good night. Yeah, I am normally a variety game streamer. I just kind of play whatever I feel like. Though, when January rolls around, we will be doing Chat Plays Divinity Dragon Commander, where you guys get to make the choices. Thank you for the follow as well. That is much appreciated. So, stick around for January for some chat playing that. But yeah, I'm normally a variety game streamer. I'm just taking it easy tonight. And yeah, we're reacting to Zach's gun rants. We finished part 1 just a little bit ago, and we're now in part 2. Yep, thank you. I appreciate it. So yeah, I don't think I don't really have a set spiel on who I am and what I do. I guess the only other thing to point out is please check out my solo in the description in the links, because I stream and upload a ton of places because I like to take the spaghetti on the wall approach where I just throw stuff out and see what sticks. Also, just we seem to have a history of streaming platforms having a bad day sometimes, so that lets you just pick whatever platform works best for you and watch there. I'm currently streaming at 10 places right now. YouTube, Twitch, Kick, Rumble, Passes, Picardo, DLive, VStream, Facebook. How many is that? I think that's every place. Yeah, one time only Picardo worked. That was a weird night. Yeah, that was really weird. It's like Picardo was the only thing running for some unknown reason. I don't know why. Yeah, my multiple output thing is getting to work out. Oh, VStream, duh, VStream, the new one. I'm on VStream now. This is our first night on VStream. And another time only YouTube works, so that was a strange night too. Yeah, but because of the fact that we just have nights where only 1 or 2 platforms decide to work, and I never know which ones it's going to be, I just stream everywhere and hope you guys can watch someplace. I think mechanically and setup wise, VStream is great. They've only made one decision I kind of have some issues with, but I really like that you can stream, upload, and use it as a social media place, which I need to get better at, though I just found it this week, so it's a habit I haven't built yet. I love its setup. I love how it looks. I like that it already has some good OBS integrations. VStream is good in that way. I don't like that it requires you to have 300 followers to monetize. I think that having high monetization bars is a mistake for platforms, because if you have a really low or no monetization bar, well, then that's more people monetized, that's more money the platform's making, you know? Instead of saying, oh, we only want big people that are drawing a lot of money from one place, get as many people as you can monetized for maximum profits. So, and that's the only thing that worries me, that whenever platforms decide we're going to compete and then they do that, historically they have not done well. So I am a little worried for VStream because everything else about it is great. I don't want to see it, I don't want to see it fail, but I think having that high monetization bar is worrying for their ability to make money. Because then it pretty much requires you to have a pre-built fan base that's willing to jump ship from the get-go if you want to even have a chance. And a lot of people with a pre-built fan base are just going to say, no, I'm going to stick to the platform where I already have people. So that's just my little warning if you're using VStream to watch out for that. But I do still encourage VTubers and anyone who likes it to go over there, because I really like the platform as a platform. So there's my little spiel about VStream. I am very distractible and I am prone to rambles, which is part of the reason why we're doing the Zach Gun Rants, because I will ramble on these. It's a good way for me to keep interacting with the stream in spite not feeling well. Anyways, I think that's been enough. Let's get going, shall we?
What is that?
Oh, is that a VSS Ventores?
How the hell have you let them
Hold,
get
please.
far?
Woohoo! I have an integrally suppressed submachine gun now. Whoa!
Careful, the safety railing's missing there.
Safety railings, please.
The VSS Ventores.
Must be
huh?
Russian.
Yeah, it's in 9x39.
What makes it so cool?
Well, the original VSS Ventores is technically a semi-auto rifle, but it's
The VSS Ventores sounds like the name of a ship cruiser.
So the VSS Ventores is a Russian gun that's in 9x39, which is a really, really heavy bullet. They basically took a 9mm round and jammed it in the end of an AK-47 bullet.
Normally that doesn't work well.
It's real heavy. It's
like that?
Ow! 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 Ow!
You like that?
It's somewhat slow, but it's subsonic, so it hits like a truck.
When you say subsonic, I think silenced weapon.
Yes, it is supposed to be a suppressed gun.
But it still hits like a truck?
Yes, because it's a really heavy bullet.
Yep, that's the same concept behind
This is an
45
actual
ACP.
Colt
technically.
M4A1. What the hell? Oh man, this thing's dope. I want to use this now.
Alright.
I need a bunch of 5.56 rounds. The rear sight on the M4 has like
Ship cruiser Mike, you were a Marine. Yeah, Mike was a Marine, but it's clear he didn't pay any attention to what he was doing.
two settings. One is the like 2 to 600.
Okay,
settings.
I know that. That's the only weapon I'm familiar with, so I do know that. You don't need to educate me on this particular weapon. I am very familiar with it.
I bet.
It's the only weapon I'm familiar. What do you mean you bet? It's the only weapon I'm familiar with.
Technically, all of the 5.56 green tip is light armor penetrating, but whatever. This is the M4A1.
Yeah, so it's the replacement for the M16A4, which itself was a replacement for the M16A2.
Kind of. The M16A4 and the Colt M4A1 both were used by the same organizations at about the same time. So for the Marines, it was a replacement for the M16A4. But
Yes.
for the Army, they would use the M16A4 or the Colt M4A1.
Chronologically, that is how the upgrade went.
That is how the upgrade went for the Marines, yes. But for the Army, it was like a replacement for the M16A2.
Oh, who cares about the Army? They suck.
Who cares about the Marines? They suck. Marines are always out of money because they gotta go ask Daddy Navy for more money.
Unlike the Army, which loves to piss away money unnecessarily.
Yeah, they do.
So much
The
so.
difference between the M4 and M4A1 is that the M4 is 3-round burst, whereas the M4A1 is full auto and has a heavy barrel.
What do you call the M4 that's not A1 to distinguish it from the other M4 that is an A1?
You just call it an M4.
That's confusing. You should call it the M4A0.
No, you just call it the M4.
Yeah, you could, but that might be confusing to
That
people.
isn't confusing.
It is to people who aren't frequent with M4 parlance.
Your point is null and void.
And that's why I'm calling it the M4A0.
You can do that if you want to, but nobody else is gonna know what you're talking about. I didn't see a peanut.
Okay, just another little thing that put in there with the burst fire versus automatic. The idea behind burst fire is was the idea that poorly trained troops rather than just let them fire willy-nilly, you put them on burst fire so they are able to fire quickly and put lots of round down target, but they don't just fire willy-nilly, waste all their ammo, and not hit anything. However, American and most other Western nations have switched to the doctrine of just teach your troops trigger discipline, so that instead of holding down on the trigger through the whole magazine, they know to just do like a lot of gamers do, where when you're firing, you're on fully automatic, but you just click quickly. The same thing, but with a trigger. We've established that the Russians still just give their troops burst fire, but one thing that has been established as a problem with this is if you're in a panic and need to fire quickly, a lot of troops are just going to want to hold down the trigger. So if you need to actually have full auto and you're stuck in burst, you hold down the trigger in your panic, you're going to get that burst off, and then that'll be it. You will not have the spray that you actually need in that situation. So that's and that's actually a proven problem that's statistically an issue. So that's why the decision was made. Nope, we're just going to have automatic and teach people how to have trigger discipline.
Oh god, there's a toke. Oh, it's only 38 cash.
They are junk
Fucking
guns.
Tokarev.
I take it a Tokarev is not a good gun.
It's
No.
a fucking piece of trash is what it is.
Buy it. Show me.
All right.
Buy those wrenches too, because it sounds like we might need to fix it. Yeah?
Behold the Tokarev. Yeah, it's pretty shit.
That seems decent enough.
The Tokarev is pretty much a copy of a Colt 1911, only in like the worst ways possible.
Yep.
The Tokarev TT-33 is to the Colt 1911 what an Arbani suit is to an Armani suit.
Yep.
You see that little C-clip on the right-hand side of it right there?
On the barrel?
No, underneath the slide, this little C-clip right there. That holds the pins in place.
That holds the weapon together?
Yeah, pretty much. And sometimes when you're shooting this, that clip will come off, and then the gun will go blat and just fall apart. It's kind of a piece of junk. Originally, it was in 7.
And then the German method of putting both on as an engine. Oh, for the automatic and burst fire? Yeah. You can do that, but it does drastically complicate a gun, which you really don't need to do.
6.2 by 25, which is just an absolute zipper of a cartridge. They're such hot pieces of garbage.
Let's murder the next man with it.
I learned how to like disassemble and repair the Tokarev TT-33. The advice we generally got was, yeah, don't worry about repairing it, just throw it out, you'll find another one.
Really?
I feel like I could do more damage if I smacked someone in the head with a graphing calculator than I could by shooting at them with a high point.
Those things are heavy.
I'm going to contest this point. High points are ugly, heavy pistols. It is nigh on impossible to destroy them. They have a low ammunition count. They're a huge gun with a single stack magazine. They've got a brick of a slide, but I've used a high point before. Yeah, high points work. Also, hi, Lux and VT. High points work. That's the thing about them. And because they have a fixed barrel, they are accurate. So as junky as they are in terms of manufacturing quality, and yeah, they are super cheap. The reality is, if you need a gun that you know is actually going to work and be accurate of all things, a high point is actually in that category. I think I saw one for, yep. There was a time when you could get, high points were generally sub $100 guns. I think that with inflation, they are now sub $200 guns. But yeah, high points get a lot of flack for being cheap and crappy looking. But they're actually, like I said, they have it where it counts. They're reliable, they're accurate, and because they have that massive grip, which makes it easy to hold on, and because of their weight, actually, they're good for new people. They're good for people that aren't familiar with guns, because all that weight massively reduces their recoil. The big grip makes them also helps cushion the recoil. So for a new person learning how to shoot, the high point is actually a really good gun because it doesn't like to jump around a lot. Sounds like a gun custom made for you. Some martial arts movie. Actor reaches out, pulls C clip, gun falls apart, everyone clap. Yeah, for the Tokarev. Yeah, probably. Those pins do really have a tendency to just fall off and get lost too.
You know how normally on a gun, if I want to load around on this thing, I gotta take the mag out, put the mag in, and then pull the slide back like this. A high point, you can just hold the high point straight up in the air and then rip your arm back real fast, and that'll chamber around into it.
It has a
Not
massive
safe.
brick of a
No,
slide.
it really isn't. But if you need a gun and you need it real cheap, you can get a high point for $120.
And
Or
you
just
need
pick
it to
up a rock
work.
for all the effectiveness.
Hey, fella, what?
Oh god.
Look up some of the torture tests people have put high points through. I'm serious. People have put high points through some insane torture tests, and it's kind of scary the stuff that they will still work with. That the gun just will safely still fire, even though you've like hammered a big spike into the barrel.
God damn it. Just take my guns.
Here, have the Tokarev.
Hopefully he forgets that I gave it to him and just keeps it. I think it's a frickin' monkey's paw. Yep, hunting a revolver with a scope in 4570 government. I have no desire to use this.
Wait,
Safari
what?
Hunters in a
Because
nutshell.
It's a hunting revolver and a powerful caliber?
I don't want to use scoped weapons.
Wait, not even for long-distance sniping?
This isn't a long-distance sniper rifle. It's a revolver.
So you do want to use scopes, just not on your revolver.
Where did I even find a speed loader in 4570?
That's a pretty good question, actually.
That's the thing you're thinking about.
Where did I even find a speed loader in 4570 for
Oh,
that
you can
thing?
still find one
That
for
makes no sense.
$9,999. Nice.
You know, I actually just realized something. The charging handle on this AUG moves when I shoot it. The AUG has a non-reciprocating charging handle.
Oh, that's a glitch. It's an error.
It's not a glitch. It's just whoever did this didn't know that the AUG did that.
Or
Not
did
everybody
and didn't
knows
want to
everything
model.
about guns, Zach.
I don't know everything about guns.
You sure?
Yeah.
You could fool some people.
I do not know everything about guns. There's a lot of stuff I don't know.
Like...
How am I gonna
Yes, the C9 Yeet Cannon. No, seriously, that's what the high point is called.
tell you about what I don't know?
What? Well, tell me something you don't know about this Steyr AUG. You probably don't know the year it was created.
I know the year it entered service.
Yeah, exactly.
1977.
Oh, okay. Then you probably don't know it's a 5.56.
Yes, I do.
Oh, then you probably don't know about the A1 variant.
This one has a scope that's permanently part of the receiver assembly. The A1 variant, the scope can actually come off. Actually, technically, the one I own is a Steyr AUG A3M1.
Okay, I take it back. You do know everything about guns.
No, I don't! I don't know everything about guns! I got an AK-40... I got an AK-74 and I'm itching to use it.
You keep on accidentally calling it the AK-47.
Yeah, I'm not a huge AK fanboy, so it doesn't really matter to me.
It's
Brandon
an AK
Herrera
number,
would like to
who
have
cares?
words.
Yeah, it's an AK. I got an AK and I'm itching to use it.
I also have an Alaska.
You get a lot of people that get all bent out of shape when you start calling them, like, when you refer to an AKM as an AK-47. They're like, oh, actually, there's a difference because the AK-47 is a milled receiver and the AKM is a stamped sheet metal receiver, and technically that one's a post-57 AK-47. It's just like, shut up, okay? Nobody cares.
So, is it the AK-47 because it was the 47th patent?
No, it's the AK-47 because that's when it entered service, and technically anything that is like this one, that's a stamped sheet metal receiver, that would make it an AKM, except that it's not an AKM, because it's M545x39, so, whatever. Oh, we gotta go to the Ironworks. I was following my compass, and I realized I went the wrong way because I started ranting about guns.
Yeah.
Adventures!
I have done that.
Was that an adventure?
That was negligent discharging of your weapon.
That was me shooting. I wasn't a negligent discharge. I did it on purpose. I shot the rock on purpose.
Yes, and it's very negligent of you.
So many of my friends know over the AKs. I'm like, because, yeah, I'm not the biggest AK fan either.
Not negligent,
I don't
did it
hate
on
the guns, but I
purpose.
also don't.
know, I'm not saying it's
I know what's
care.
behind my target.
Did I say accidental? I don't think I did. It's intentional negligence.
There wasn't negligent though. I knew what I was doing. I can see the rock. I can see what's behind it. I intended to destroy the rock.
And it could you don't
The
think
one
it would
time
probably
Mike is
ricochet off of
correct.
it?
No, of course not.
Ricochets don't exist?
No, I was using frangibles.
Flechet rounds?
No, frangibles are. It's usually like a copper jacket with like powdered lead on the inside of it.
Full
Now,
of
family gun
copper
that jams like
jackets.
you in a
It's
second
still a
mag.
jacket,
Eh.
but then the moment it hits anything, the bullet basically just disintegrates.
Hooray! I learned things about guns and you learned things about English.
Joke's on you! I didn't learn anything about English. Woo! When did I get this? It looks like some kind of AK, maybe an AK-12?
I don't even think AKs go that low.
They do. AK-400.
Significantly more than what you said.
The rear sight is odd in that it's mounted to the rail system, and also it
I know
looks like
nothing
it's
about
based
this
on
one.
a,
There will
like
be
an
no
RPK
rants.
rear sight?
It kind of looks like an M16 or an M4.
No, it does not look like an M16 or an M4. You see how the top cover looks like the little Fast Freddy silhouette? That's how you definitely know that it's an AK.
Just like in the M16.
No, not like in the M16. It also apparently has a side-folding stock, and I see a 1 on there, which leads me to believe it's got a collapsing M4 stock on it. Where'd it go?
Oh, it's gone forever now.
Oh, God, seriously?
No, it's
What?
here.
Oh, Jesus. So, yeah, it's just a modified AK. That looks kind of like an
Prototype
ergo grip
for
that's on
the,
there. That looks kind of like an ergo stock.
well,
but
the
it
new
does have a
AK-12.
collapsing M4 style stock
Told
on it.
you.
Which is absolutely
The
terrible.
muzzle device is different.
Absolutely
It looks
terrible.
like a modified AK-74 muzzle device. It has an adjustable gas system too. That's interesting.
Is that useful for anything?
Adjustable gas systems are useful if the weapon gets fouled, because then you just set it on the adverse settings. It's also useful if the weapon gets like muddy or dirty, and if you're running some kind of suppressor on the front of it, you might want lower gas pressure.
Just like in the M16.
No, Mike, it's not like in the M16 doesn't have an adjustable gas system. It's direct impingement.
Nothing can stand up to the M16 you're wielding.
It's not an M16. It's an AK-400.
Love
It's
how
a
he
fantasy
says
rifle,
that.
though, right?
I don't know. There might be an AK-400. There's so many different AKs. There's like the AK-101, the AK-112, the AK-12, the AN-94. There's too many different ones. I can't remember all of them.
It disintegrated. I don't think you did that with ballistics.
Whoa!
Okay, so rest. Have a good one, Leonard. Thank you for the raid, and have a good night. Mike, stop trying to get shot. He said that he has a fetish for getting shot, so I think he's going to keep trying to get shot. And yeah, I don't remember. Does he talk about the AK-12? He does not talk about the AK-12. The AK-12 is an absolutely... Okay, so... The AK-12 is the current battle rifle for Russia. It is a step backwards from the AK-74. The Russian government basically said we want an updated rifle for the updated world. So it has a front guard that has a tendency to flex and break off. It does have the M4 style stock, except it uses, I believe, a proprietary mechanism, so it can't swap out with regular M4 style stocks. It struggles to hold zero. It has a burst fire mechanism that is unreliable, so you never know how many bursts it will fire. And the front heat shield actually does not go forward far enough, so it's easy to burn your hand on the hot barrel. And it's just generally a very low quality gun. It's actually so bad that the Kalashnikov factory said, we will produce upgrade kits for AK-74s that will make them better than the AK-12 and do it for less money than it costs than it does to manufacture AK-12s. Please let us do this instead. And the Russian government said, no, we want AK-12s. We want an updated rifle for updated world, and got exactly none of what they asked for. That is exactly what happened. Look into it. It is cheaper and more effective to just buy an AK-74M and buy an upgrade kit, like, was it Zenico? Is that the company? So I think it's Zenico. Buy an upgrade kit that adds all the modern stuff to it than it is to go with the AK-12. It is an incredible example in military incompetency.
Oh, trench shotgun.
Didn't seem to help that guy.
At least the shotgun fared better than he did.
But I don't know if it's gonna be used.
But
for
at
those
least
robots.
is it a bullpup?
This is not a trench shotgun?
Yeah,
This
bullpup
is a
AKs are
Winchester
bad.
1887 and the Winchester 1897
There are some bullpups that are kind of neat. Bullpup AKs are bad.
was the trench gun.
But wouldn't any shotgun that gets thrown in a trench be, by definition?
Yes, by definition, it will be a trench shotgun, but the one everybody calls the trench gun is a Winchester 1897. This is a Winchester 1887. You can tell it because it's a lever action shotgun. The other one is a pump action shotgun.
So it's deceptive marketing.
I got this thing. What the hell is this?
Yeah, happy birthday. It's a gun.
Happy birthday to me. This looks like a Daewoo.
I don't know what a Daewoo is. It sounds Japanese.
Or a... Well, no, Daewoo is Korean. It's either a Daewoo or it's a Japanese, right? It looks like it's got a...
Meg at the back is too cumbersome for me. It depends entirely on the mag release system. If it's a good release system built for the bullpup, it's great. AK release systems are not made for bullpups, so they're not.
Chrysanthemum on it?
It looks like it's got a samurai helmet on the sight.
It looks like the Japanese muzzle brake on like the Type 103 or something.
I believe it is a type, yes.
Well, I mean, because oh, that definitely looks like Japanese characters on the selector.
Yeah.
I can see a 3, and then one I'm assuming is safe, one is probably semi, one is 3-round burst, and one is full.
Oh, that's probably what the 3 is, 3-round burst.
Yeah. Got those sights there. There's a big hole for where the charging handle should go through because it's a reciprocating charging handle. That's straight.
Most of the time having to aim the game straight up to access the mag to comfortably reload. But yeah, but it's fairly easy to just kind of like, I don't know if my tracking will let me do it, but to just kind of like either shift your arm up, or again, if you have a good release system, you don't even have to do that. You just kind of like reach under, drop it, and swap in. But you need a really good release system for that one.
Ish magazine leads me to believe it's 5.56. It's either a Daewoo K1 or it's the Japanese type. I think it's like a 103 or something.
How familiar are you with Japanese assault rifles?
Not super familiar because they don't really exist outside of Japan.
Japan not known as a
SDF,
huge weapons
yeah.
exporter.
No, they don't really make a whole lot of guns for export. Actually, a lot of Browning guns are made in Japan and then sold in the US. So a lot of Browning bolt-action rifles are made by a company called Miroku in Japan.
I was unaware.
Anyway, I think it's like the Type 103, maybe Type 94, but Type 94 might be the Chinese rifle.
You're pretty close.
Type 89!
That's that, all right.
Let's take a look. Where'd it go?
Where'd you drop it?
I dropped it and it just oh, it launched all the way over here.
All right. Well, what are those rubber rifles? Yep, they bounce a lot.
Yeah, so that's a Type 89. It's the Japanese standard issue rifle, and the first thing that indicated that to me was the muzzle brake.
Is that a distinct muzzle brake?
Yeah, that's a very distinctive muzzle brake that the Type 89 is like one of the only guns that uses. And I just couldn't remember because I have too many gun numbers in my head
Yeah.
and I get confused. And it's not one that I see on a daily basis. I think it entered service in like mid to late 80s, hence the Type 89.
Oh, they didn't go through 88 previous types to get to it?
No, I think the Japanese do the year it entered service or something along those lines, because the reason this throws me off is there's actually a few guns that are slightly different. Like there's one that's the SIG SP-2022, which is a handgun, and the only reason it's called the SP-2022 is not because that's when it entered service, it's when it was projected to exit service.
We've already been over this. There are no standard naming conventions.
No, there aren't. There's so many different ones. But anyway, yeah, that muzzle brake is very distinctive to the Japanese rifle. I believe there's a company, I think it's JP Enterprises. They make what's called the, or it might be the Type 89 muzzle device, but you can buy one of those muzzle devices for your AR-15.
Well, I've never heard of this particular rifle before, but it's got to be pretty reliable. I mean, look at all those holes in it.
That doesn't make it more reliable, Mike.
You're
Come on.
right, it doesn't, but it does make it go faster.
Anyway, it's a really cool looking rifle, and I kind of wish that I could actually get my hands on one in person, but this is probably as close as I'll ever get to that.
So we just enjoy it, as well as this other shotgun I got you.
Ooh, what is it?
Okay, before he gets to the shotgun, don't know why they don't just use P90 system instead, so easy to reload and doesn't get in the way. Because the P90 system took a lot of work in order to make it work reliably, and it only works reliably for the 5.7 millimeter that I think it's 5.7 millimeter that it is designed for. Unfortunately, you'd have to basically go through the design process again for other calibers. Plus, you have the issue that the round that the sideways in the magazine, you're going to end up with a really wide top of the gun if you're going to use that for any traditional assault or battle rifle type system, and it's going to make the gun very, very difficult to use. Generally speaking, one of the advantages or not advantages, but one of the ergonomic decisions in most combat rifles is just the flat design for convenience, and trying to put, say, 5.56 sideways across that design is you're either going to end up with a T-shaped firearm with a really awkward rotating mechanism in order to mimic what the P90 does, or you're going to end up with a box-shaped weapon with a lot of unused space, or you're going to end up with a weapon that is flat sideways instead of flat up and down, which is going to be very awkward to use and look like something like the, what is it, G11? Maybe? Yeah, something like a G11-ish type weird space gun, except flat boxy instead of boxy, I guess.
The WA-101 tactical shotgun.
All right, so what do we got here? We have the foregrip of a Thompson submachine gun. We have the sights of a Thompson submachine gun. We have the bolt mechanism of what looks to be modeled after a Remington 1100. It's got Picatinny rails on the sides and top of it. A muzzle device that doesn't really...
G11s were a nightmare waiting to happen. Yes, they were.
Really go to it. The back of some type of pump action or semi-automatic shotgun, along with the stock from an FN rifle. So it's just made out of a bunch of different stuff.
It's also got a weird-looking magazine.
Yeah, the magazine looks like they took a BAR mag and just modified it.
It's got to be based on a real shotgun, right?
The receiver looks like it's modeled after a Remington 1100, or just some semi-auto shotgun.
Sure.
Other than that, no.
Kind of looks like, is that a Benelli? That kind of looks like it could be a Benelli
Yeah, it's imaginary
bolt
hodgepodge
mechanism
of
at
parts.
least.
It looks like it was kit bashed.
Kit bashed?
Yeah.
Like someone assembled a bunch of different parts together?
Yeah, they just took parts from different kits and slapped them all together and made it look like this thing. What caliber is this?
12 gauge?
I guess it could be 12 gauge, but that barrel does not look big enough to be 12 gauge. I can generally fit most of my thumb into a 12 gauge barrel, and I don't think I could fit most of my thumb into that. It looks like it'd be a 410 gauge. It says it's 12 gauge, which, unrelated note, I have 666 extra 12 gauge rounds.
Right.
666, the number of the beast.
Okay.
666.
Maybe it's not your standard 12 gauge round. Maybe it's 12 by 19 parabellum rounds.
God,
Shoot him
shut up.
again.
Whatever. Mike, you need to know that if you get 3 gun nerds together, the only thing that they will agree on is that one of them is wrong.
He's accurate.
You
This
have
is true.
2 of us here. We're just gonna be bickering back and forth as to which weapon system is better.
What do you mean, two? Are you not including me in that grouping?
You're not a gun nerd.
How dare you? I have learned so much in our travels.
Uh-huh. All right.
Ask me any question about guns. I will answer it.
What's your favorite gun?
I like the M16A4.
Guess it's the only thing he knows.
The M16A2 I am familiar with, but a bit better, shorter, more practical.
It's not any shorter. The M16A4 is the exact same length as the A2.
Sorry, yes. The M4 is the one that's I'm thinking of.
Okay.
See, I know what I'm talking about.
All right.
Barely.
As long as you don't ask me anything about anything besides those 3 guns.
What's your favorite handgun?
The Beretta 92F.
That's because that's the only one you know.
No, I also know about the Colt 45.
What's your
Which
third
Colt
favorite
45?
handgun?
The Mosin Nagant.
That's
Alvarez.
not a handgun.
The compact version.
Oh my God. That's not a handgun.
If you saw off the stuff.
The Oberez is technically a pistol Mosin Nagant that sets off like a, I don't know, 4-foot wide fireball in front of it whenever you fire it, because it is a hilariously short barrel for a round that has too much powder for a normal Mosin length. Forget a shortened Mosin length, because it was designed to be used in like tank and aircraft No, I've never heard of the Liberty 3T. Do like 4-foot fireballs.
Doc.
No, then it becomes an Obrez, and they're a nightmare.
Just look it up. I'll look it up whenever we're done.
An Obrez is a Mosin Nagant that the barrel's been cut down to like 4 inches long.
I didn't say barrel. I
Top
said
mounted
stock.
mad pistol. Uh-oh.
The barrel has been cut down to 4 inches long, and they completely removed the stock. So you're now shooting 7.62 by 54R, which is like 5 inches long. You're shooting that out of something that has like a 4-inch barrel. So it's just a fireball the size of you coming out of the end of the gun.
Yeah, who needs shoulders?
What the hell is that?
It's my third favorite pistol.
Oh my god. You found an Obrez?
Yep.
Yeah.
What is wrong with you?
Yep.
Make us all go deaf the moment you shoot that thing. You know what knife I really want?
A Bowie knife?
No, there's a knife that Spetsnaz had that shoots a 7.62 round out of the base of it.
That's not a
I believe
knife,
it's
that's
the
a bladed
39.
gun.
No, it's a knife. It just has a very short range gun built into it.
So it's got a gun built into it.
Yeah, it's a knife with a gun that technically. So it is kind of a bad idea because you do kind of have to point the knife at your own face in order to aim it. And if you're not careful with a recoil, you will just stab yourself in the face. So that is kind of a bad idea. But I want it because it's mechanically interesting and cool.
I don't
It's
like
also a
the fact
bad
that you
idea.
have to shove a blade in your eye to look down the sight.
You don't shove the blade in your eye. You hold it out in front of you with the blade pointed backwards. You know,
And then the
you want it to
recoil
extend
shoves
your
the
arm. You don't
the
wanna,
blade in your
point
eye.
The blade against your cheek.
Yes.
You're not trying to get a good cheek weld with it. Hey, look, I got a GSH-18.
Special piston-driven round designs.
What, you
Oh,
had
okay.
a special handgun?
Yeah, he had a weird Russian handgun.
What? That's really weird looking.
So yeah, it's a GSH-18. It's kind of funny that the ejection port is once again on the top of it.
So hot lead shoots out the top.
Yeah, but if you look at the front of the barrel, you can see how it's got like those weird little lines on it.
Mm-hmm. Ridges.
Yeah, the barrel's like finned. I can't remember if it's a rotating lug barrel or not, which would be just really strange in and of itself. I don't know a whole lot about this because I've only like casually researched it. I haven't done a lot of research.
Ah, this is not one of the ones you're privy to.
No, not really. And like I only casually researched it because I'm never going to be able to own one. So, I mean, as far as I know, they work decently well. They really only issue them to like certain troops in Russia.
It is a
because
rotating
not a
barrel.
lot of
That's
people
really
can get
weird.
them. The reason for the ridges on the top are
18
so it
locking
gives you
lugs.
extra,
Good grief.
something extra to grip on when you have to pull the slide backwards.
Mm-hmm.
The other reason is by putting ridges on the top, when you have sun beating down on the gun, it reduces. Thank you, Mike. It reduces.
You can also
the
just
glare
use a
that you get
blued
from the iron
finish.
sights.
Oh, that makes sense.
So you don't get as much sunlight reflecting off the top of your slide.
A blued
and,
finish
like,
is better.
Flashing out your iron sights, making them harder to see.
Seems like there would be benefits, but at the same time, those ridges would probably make it a bit more of a pain to clean.
Not really. You just kind of scrub it with a toothbrush or whatever.
Well, if it's so convenient and useful, why don't all guns have those ridges?
Because it increases manufacturing costs. You have to spend time to machine every one of those notches out.
Use 9x21 AP rounds specifically designed to fit in the gun and nothing else. Oh, of course. Of course. Here we go again.
Yeah, I wish I could tell you more about this because I honestly don't really know a whole lot about it.
I thought your mind was a endless encyclopedia, a vacuum of knowledge.
I know that it's a 9mm pistol. I know it's from Russia. I know that they're not exactly standard issue, but they are issued to the Russian military.
Can you believe this guy, Elias, doesn't know everything about every gun ever made?
I think the top of it is actually like a little loaded chamber indicator and like.
And
pops
it
up
uses
a
a
little
regular
bit,
9x19.
which
Good
it's
grief.
not doing on this one because they can't really model complex guns like that.
What does KS stand for?
It stands for Carbine Special, so Special Purpose Carbine.
Oh, okay. But where did the 21 come from?
The 23, it comes from the millimeters of the barrel. Because like I said, the barrel for this is just from an anti-aircraft cannon that didn't meet specifications.
Is this one of those Russian weapons that's hodgepodge together?
Yes.
I don't know. I know the barrel definitely is. They were like, well, the barrel can't handle the high pressure of an anti-aircraft cartridge, but it definitely can handle the pressure of a low-velocity grenade.
So we'll just take this anti-tank cannon and make it a pea shooter.
Yeah, we'll take this anti-tank cannon and make it fire grenades and also buckshot and less lethal cartridges. Though, to be fair, I think the Russian less lethal cartridges are more it's still very lethal and will hurt very, very badly. And it might not kill you, but it also might kill you.
Yes. You were really excited when you found this gun.
Keep in mind that they had enough anti-aircraft barrels that didn't meet specification for them to make a whole shotgun model out of it. Think about that.
Yeah.
You like the novelty of it, or is it a good gun?
I like the novelty of it. I just think it's really cool having a shotgun that's a 23 millimeter barrel.
Right. I wouldn't imagine it to be a good gun if it's, with the history that it has.
Well, I mean, it's not bad. It's like a good... So you know the grenade launcher I normally use?
Yeah.
Basically the same thing, only...
It looks like a shotgun.
Only heavier rifling and slightly smaller.
It looks like a sawn-off shotgun.
Yeah, it does. They also make a wire stock for it, which I've heard is not fun to shoot.
Well, if this thing has that much kickback, and you're just jamming wires into your shoulder when you fire it.
Yeah, I'm not really a big fan of wire side-folding stocks anyway, because it is like trying to shoot with a chunk of rebar stuck to your face. So it's not exactly pleasurable.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am super interested in this, and this might be real fun to use.
All right, I look forward to it.
Kind of wish I had some shotgun shells for it, though, because I would like to just unload a 23 millimeter shotgun shell onto something. It's not going to be good for long range, but man, 23 millimeters of shotgun shell hitting somebody from 4 feet away.
Is that a Glock?
Yep, that's
Here we
a
go.
Glock. That is 100% a Glock. I can tell by the takedown levers that are right there, but in front of the trigger. He's got a Glock as well. Yes. See, that is a Glock 18. I can tell by the selector lever right there.
Of course you can.
That is a Glock 18 because Glock 17s do not have that selector lever. Oh, it's not full auto though.
It's a semi-auto Glock.
9mm compact pistol.
Ooh, that one's got a green glow sight.
Yeah, which Glock sights don't actually glow like this, but you know, whatever, it's cool.
Could be aftermarket.
I can tell it's the Glock 18C because you can see the cutouts on the top of the slide right behind the front sight, and it looks like there's small cutouts on the barrel.
I bet you that we can take these weapons without murdering these guys.
Oh, probably, but I mean, I don't really need it.
You got a Glock 17 and a Glock 18 then.
They're both modeled after a Glock 18. This one would be the Glock 18C, which is the compensated fully automatic Glock, or select fire. This one would be a Glock... Well, it technically wouldn't exist because it's a fully automatic version of a 10mm Glock, which I think is the 21.
Is this one fully automatic?
Well, it's got the full automatic lever on it. There are Glock numbers from 17 until...
Aren't Glocks hard to get aftermarket sights for? I don't know. I've never looked into aftermarket sights for Glocks. I mean, they're common enough. I would assume that whether or not Glock has approved of them, they're out there. I'm not a Glock person. I don't own one. I've never really looked into it.
48.
What, they skip 1 through 16?
Glocks are named after what patent number they were. So 17 was the Glock company's 17th patent. The Glock 18 is the fully automatic one because it was their 18th patent. The Glock 19 is a compact 9mm, and it was their 19th patent.
I've heard of the Glock before.
Mm-hmm.
Why are they so popular?
Because they're relatively inexpensive for an incredibly reliable and robust and well-made handgun.
They're that good, huh?
Yeah, they're very, very good handguns. They're often referred to as America's handgun, despite the fact that they're Austrian.
One of 16 other
A lot of
curtains.
police departments use
I think you're right.
Usually police departments were, for the longest time, using them in 40 Smith & Wesson, or as I like to call it, 40 Short and Weak, or 10mm short.
How do you really feel about that caliber?
I don't like 40 Smith & Wesson. It's completely pointless. I didn't like 40 Smith & Wesson even when it was popular. I thought it was dumb.
But you always like to hate on popular things. That's nothing new.
40 Smith & Wesson was originally designed because in the 1980s, the FBI wanted to move away from 9mm. The FBI at the time was using 9mm handguns, but they were just using full metal jacket rounds. Only special units were allowed to use hollow point bullets.
Okay.
So the FBI wanted a round with more, quote, stopping power, which is not a real thing. They wanted a round...
Transferred joules. How many joules does the bullet carry and transfer to the target on impact? Smart Smith & Wesson comes from a dumb place, but It's not like it's a useless round, though it is wimpier than the 10 millimeter. The big advantage of 40 Smith & Wesson these days is because it wasn't, and still isn't, as popular as 10 millimeter and 45 ACP and 9, is when there's a run on ammunition, like there was in 2020 and 2021, you can pick it up for cheap. That is its big advantage. The fact that it remains cheap longer than most other calibers. Though that may have now changed because of that run. I haven't looked recently. I don't have a 40 Smith & Wesson gun either.
You mean it's not a real thing?
Stopping power is not a real thing. That's not a quantifiable measurement.
It'll
Joel's carried and transferred to the target.
stop it in the sense that it'll be dead.
Stopping power is not a quantifiable thing.
Okay.
The FBI wanted a round with more kinetic energy behind it. So, they had 10 mil designed. 1 millimeter larger than 9 millimeter, but it's got a whole fuck ton more powder behind it.
Oh yes, the cartridge is much
It's got
longer.
a lot of powder behind it, so those rounds are just coming out of there real fast.
They've got all these different calibers of bullet. 9 millimeter, 10 millimeter, 11 millimeter, etc., etc. And it doesn't really matter what the size of the bullet is. All that matters is the amount of powder behind it.
Pretty
To a point,
much.
Yeah, because there's a rifle that's in 22-250, which you think, oh, 22, that's tiny. Well, yes, the bullet is real tiny, but it's got like 30 times the amount of powder behind it that the bullet weighs.
Well, now I'm even angry.
It's powder, but it is also, does the bullet actually transfer that force? Because most of these 22 caliber, this is a problem with the 5.56 NATO, which is also a 22 caliber round. The problem is it's so small and pointy that it can have problems transferring the actual force into what it's hitting, which is one of the problems with some of these rounds, and the reason why the military whines about the M16s and M4s are based on the AR-15 platform, is that the bullet does not do a good enough job of transferring force by damaging whatever it hits compared to no, transfer doesn't happen so much if it goes through a target as well. 223s tend to, 223/5.56 tends to just go through a soft target. So unless it hits like bone or you're wearing body armor or something, it often will just go in one side and out the other. That's still a traumatic injury. That still hurts. Don't get me wrong, that's still doing damage, but particularly for someone who is in an adrenaline-fueled rage or hopped up on drugs, that's often not enough to actually knock them over because it just went right through and didn't transfer all the force. The concept of quote-unquote stopping power, as people refer to it, is the idea of transferring a lot of force to a target that will actually knock them over off their feet. That's generally what is referred to when talking about stopping power. So big, heavy rounds that don't go through the target, but transfer all the force they're carrying into the target that can knock them over, that is probably the best definition of stopping power when you're getting to actual mechanics of the whole thing. And yes, because of the loose definitions of stopping power, it does become a very strong sticking point. But that's generally how I've seen it. That's how the couple of soldiers and police officers I personally know have discussed it. That it doesn't knock the target over or not. It's not necessarily does it kill them, but does it, stop them. Story that I heard from a police officer. Honestly, why don't they just, at this point, the U.S. military just use 50 Beowulf? They waste enough money as is. Because 50 Beowulf is actually relatively short range and uncontrollable. 50 Beowulf is actually difficult for people to control in terms of recoil, especially if it's being fired in automatic. And it actually transfers an enormous amount of force, but it's actually a pretty sluggish, shortish range round with accuracy problems when compared to 5.56. The military, The military should have gone with like something like 6.5 Creedmoor if they wanted to get a balance between accuracy and hitting power. Instead, they went with Fury, which is performs worse than 5.56, is heavy, and doesn't give you a lot of ammunition. It was one of the dumbest decisions in the world. Which is why Nitro Express rounds used to kill elephants were often use flat-nosed projectiles. Exactly. Because you need to transfer as much of that force as possible into the target. Ripley, when someone actually made an argument for punch glove arrows from the green arrow comps because the kinetic transfer was so efficient, I can actually see that. Now, you probably want a better design than just a big punch glove, but that is true. Now, you don't want to get so big that it then, hits too much. It distributes the force too much. Unless you're going for non-lethal, in which case you're good. But yeah, this is why like 45 ACP, in spite being a big, slow, sluggish round, is still seen as having a lot of, again, quote unquote, stopping power, because of the fact that it is a massive, slow round that tends to not over-penetrate as much as smaller, faster rounds. It tends to deliver most or all of the joules in the bullet to whatever it hits. This comes at the cost of being a little less accurate at range and of just being a slower round, so you have to lead the target more. But this is why it's seen as having that increase in stopping power, because all the power it has tends to go into whatever it hits. Now, the police, I was starting to say, story a police officer tells me is when he used 9mm, he actually encountered someone who was hyped up on a certain white powdery drug. He emptied a whole 15-round magazine out of his service pistol into this guy, who the guy did end up dying because he was shot so much. But these were all body shots, and the guy had so much adrenaline and drugs in him that he kept going, and someone else behind him had to finish it by basically firing another set of rounds and deciding, we don't have a choice, I'm aiming for the head. The guy that now he switched to what was it? That's why 357 foot over Magnum rounds. Oh yes, the way better design if you wanted to actually use it, but it was an interesting discussion. Fair, yes. I'm trying to remember. It was like a neck down 10mm. Was it 357 SIG? Was it now 357 SIG is one that I like because it tries to strike that balance of power, but I can't remember if that was specifically what he switched to. Oh, Sweetie Belle, thank you for the follow. Also, hi and welcome. Hope the night finds you well. Next down 10mm. No, it's definitely not 224 boss. It is definitely not 224 boss. Hello, night's only starting. Well, for you, I'm approaching the end of my night, I'm afraid. No, it wasn't Dylan either. I'm pretty sure it was a neck down 10mm at least. No, it is 357 SIG. Oh yeah, it is. Okay. So yeah, then he is using he did switch to 357 SIG, which I had independently, because I couldn't remember what he used, decided I liked as trying to strike a balance of a high power round in a reasonably controllable and compact cartridge. Oh yeah, it's a parent case, 10mm auto. There you go. So yeah, so he had also come to that conclusion of that, and so yeah, we're gonna get some repeat in that, but yeah, it's just that issue of stopping power of how much force can you deliver to what you're actually hitting to knock it over. You know, a lot of people think in terms of what does it take to kill someone, but in particularly in law enforcement and personal defense, the objective is just to knock over or stop whatever is happening, not necessarily to kill. Now, obviously, killing is a good way to stop what's happening, but if you want something that even if you don't make a kill shot is gonna knock them over. I'm just finding some new people can watch later, more or less. Got to get some paperwork done before Sunday and need a break. I got to do a short story with 500,000 words minimum. That is quite a bit of writing to do. I wish you good luck and welcome you to the channel. Wow, we have been busy tonight. Holy crap. All right, let's get to finish up the Glock rant.
Angrier that there are so many calibers.
Man, you don't even know. There's so many freaking calibers. Okay, anyway.
Yeah, I just learned about a new one today. 545.
Yeah, 545. It's the Russian version.
So how many guns besides her Type 91 use that?
545. There's a bunch of different guns, but the most common one is the AK-74.
Yeah, the 545 is Russia's answer to the 556, basically. They saw the general purpose success of the 556, and said, hey, we should do one too. Because the reality is the 7.62x39 is a bigger bullet that delivers more of the force that it provides to the target, but it's also slower, shorter range, and less accurate.
That uses 7...
Nope. The AK-47 uses 7.62x39. The AK-74 uses 5.45x39.
Ooh, you're throwing numbers at me and it's making me angry.
He is a Marine.
They did that because the Russians wanted a bullet that had better armor or barrier penetration. And 7.62 has too much kinetic energy behind it, so it has a tendency to dump all of its kinetic energy into something instead of trying to punch through it.
Okay.
Anyway, moving on. The FBI wanted around with more kinetic energy behind it. So, gun manufacturers came up with the 10mm cartridge, and they sold it to the FBI. The FBI got a bunch of different 1911 styled handguns in 10mm, and then shortly after adopting it went, this has too much recoil, we don't want it anymore. So Smith & Wesson made 40 Smith & Wesson. It's a 10mm bullet with less powder behind it.
Okay, so it's a weaker 10mm.
That's why I refer to it as 40 short and weak, as opposed to 10mm, which is just a freaking screamer of a cartridge.
But why did they have to call it 40 Smith & Wesson?
Because Smith & Wesson designed it. And Smith & Wesson, we ain't using no millimeters on our guns. We use caliber like real Americans.
We like to put our name in the name of our bullet caliber because we're a bunch of assholes. No one else did that, but we're doing it.
Because the FBI had adopted the 40 Smith & Wesson cartridge, a bunch of police departments started adopting the 40 Smith & Wesson cartridge because we want the same caliber that the FBI is using, because look how cool the FBI is. And at the time, a lot of police departments were still carrying like 38 special revolvers.
Yep.
So at the time, 40 Smith & Wesson was not a bad option, because what 40 Smith & Wesson got you was more kinetic energy than 9mm, not as much as 45 ACP, but you get more capacity than 45 ACP.
That is 45's
So 40
biggest
Smith &
problem.
Wesson was this nice little happy medium, right in between 9mm, which gave you a lot of capacity, but not a lot of stopping power, and 45, which gave you a lot of stopping power, but not a lot of capacity.
Okay.
So 40 Smith & Wesson sat right in the middle there.
I'm juggling a lot of information here.
That ended up becoming a problem because it turned out that 40 Smith & Wesson, it didn't offer that much more of a benefit to 9mm. They found in recent ballistics tests that 40 Smith & Wesson has roughly the same kinetic energy behind it as 9mm. Maybe a little bit more, but
Wait,
not much.
Where are we going with this information? What's the overall point you're trying to make here?
Man, I don't know. I completely got. I lost the forest for the trees there.
We were talking
You
about,
got me talking about gun stuff, and I lost the forest for the trees.
We were talking about the differences in the variations of Glocks, and then you started talking about 40 Smith & Wesson ammo types and the history of military.
Yeah, man. Holy shit. Wow. I just like blacked out for a second there. I'm sorry. I just went into like gun store rant.
Okay.
Oh man, I'm sorry, dude. Oh god, I feel real bad now. I just wasted like 20 minutes of your
I
time.
let you keep going. Well, I learned something new. I learned some new things, so it's not a waste of my time.
Anyway, okay, so no, it's because I said that I wasn't a big fan of 40 Smith & Wesson. That's why I went into this whole fucking tent. Anyway, ballistics have improved substantially in the last
Yes, they
20
have.
years. 9mm hollow points now have just as much, if not more, kinetic energy behind them
Just gonna add more gunpowder.
than a 40 Smith & Wesson.
That's
40 Smith &
pretty much
Wesson
what they
doesn't
did.
really serve a purpose anymore. To the point.
They pretty much, the average 9mm was made hotter, and then again, you've got the you've got hollow points, and you've got other defense rounds, the ones that kind of look like shotgun slugs and stuff that are just really hot, hot loaded, heavy hitting rounds, and so that was pretty much the actual final response. But of course, 10mm, not 40 Smith & Wesson, but real true 10mm, also saw a massive change up in ballistics. Those hit really hard, and 45 ACP has also seen some improvements as well, though, just because of tradition, older guns and stuff, they do still tend to keep them subsonic. But 45 ACP defense rounds can get really nasty. Got a 45 with 15 mags. Pistol, do you need more? 15? FN 545 tech. Nice. Now, keep in mind that in the 80s when this was done, most 45 ACPs were still single stack magazines. So you're looking at maybe 9 rounds tops in a police environment. Now, if you listen to what the news says, you don't need more than 15. But here's the thing. I think the actual statistics say that on average, with a defensive round, you need like a minimum of 8 or 9 shots to bring down an attacker. And keep in mind that that's not including things like hopped up on drugs or multiple attackers. So, 15 rounds is generally the maximum that you can comfortably get into a handgun before you get into ridiculous sizes. But this is why you want to have more than 8 or 9 rounds, because if you need those 8 or 9 rounds for just, 1 out of 4 rounds usually hits, So, and remember, my police officer friend who fired 15 9mm rounds into a guy hopped up on white powdery substance and failed to drop him. It took basically another 15 rounds from someone right behind him. Took 30 rounds of 9mm for one guy who was also like 300 pounds, something like that, hopped up on cocaine. I should just say it. I'm not a gun tuber. Yeah, I don't care. I'm not monetized anyways. Most self-defense situations often involve less than 7 rounds fired, but police shootings usually involve more than 30. Yep. But also keep in mind that most self-defense rounds, the person's running. So 7 rounds don't even necessarily stop the person. They're just gone. Also, doubt they use hollows as cop. Depends. I think a lot actually do. Also, thank you for the follow, Luxon. Very much appreciated. Yeah, it's very department dependent. I know that the SIG rounds, now that we know they were SIG, I remember what they looked like, but I didn't remember what he called them. But I know that the 357 SIG rounds that the police officer that I know had switched to were hollow points. 100-round pistol drum mag. They make those for some pistols. They're absolutely nuts. But the problem is practicality of carrying them. But yeah, average self-defense round, 7 rounds fired, but something like 40%, I think the FBI said. I'm trying to remember FBI statistics from like months ago. I think like 40% of those, the person is just running. Basically you fire rounds and it scares the person attacking you enough that they run because they don't want to be shot. Though I say it was a top mount mag that holds 32 rounds. Nice. Yeah, you can, but I'm betting it's probably, if it's a top mount mag, I'm betting it's a fairly large gun. 32 rounds is definitely a fairly large magazine. Like, for my 1911, I have 28 round drum mags. Those are very big. Those are very large magazines. Yeah, it looks like the blasters in Star Wars. Oh, goody. What most people say about them. Situations where a single shot makes everyone scatter helps pull that average down too. Also true. But this is, that's very true as well. That, you know, a lot of the times it's just, you know, shot fired. Oh, they have a gun. It's loaded and they are willing to use it. I don't want to be here because I don't want to be shot. But again, in situations with a violent criminal, with someone with drug dealers who are a very common reason why you're having to pull out the gun as a police officer, who knows how many shots you need to fire, especially since they may have cartel 8/ATF provided automatics, because ATF keeps accidentally giving guns to drug cartels for some reason. Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you for the follows. Much appreciated. But yeah, so 15 rounds, incognito. Well, you kind of just revealed them. But thank you. Kind of just revealed that you're small enough. It's fine. Well, I mean, these will be cut out and uploaded as independent reacts to parts 1 and 2 as well, so sorry to give you a late warning. Sorry. But thank you. You're not supposed to say that quiet part out loud. But yeah, so like my carry is a Hellcat with the short 11 round magazine. 10 round magazine with +1. Oh crap, I need to double check. I need to double check what my what my magazine count is. That's bad. But then I have the bigger 13 and 15 round magazines for it. That's bad that I don't remember how many rounds I have in the default magazine. Don't have to evade restream bot and no one to evade. You know what I mean? But yeah. So, but yes, having more rounds is definitely good. I know, but you know, for self-defense, then you also get the pocket pistols with like 6 or 4 rounds or something in them. But again, for personal defense, that could be all you need. You know, sometimes it's just one shot, but sometimes it's not. My defense gun is also my home defense gun, so you know, if someone's breaking into my house, as people have tried, that's a bit more violent than a street encounter. Seen those wallet-sized pistols? Oh yes. There's some tiny ones out there. Look up some of the 22 Super Mag, or Mini Mag or whatever they're called, revolvers that are super tiny. Anyways, let's. I am once again tangenting as I do. Let's finish this up.
Point that most police departments are actually getting away from 40 Smith & Wesson and going back to 9mm.
Yeah, because of how hot they are, as I said.
I knew that there were different types of 9mm ammo.
Mm-hmm.
There was 9x17, 9x18, 9x19 Makarov,
9x21.
I believe
9x25.
that the differences in these types of bullets was the size of the cartridge that it
The
came
length.
The case length, yeah.
in. Yeah, the case length.
For the most part, you're right, yeah.
Does the difference in powder affect it?
yes, you can use different types of powder. I am terrible with remembering powder types, but you can get different types of powder that burn faster or burn hotter, and that will cause the bullet to exit the gun faster because you're causing a bigger explosion on the inside of the gun.
Are there bullet calibers that are the same bullet size, the same cartridge length, but different powders?
Yes.
And can these similar bullets of varying powders be fired out of the same gun?
Yes.
Okay. So
Yes.
it's not like putting a 9x19 parabellum round in your Makarov.
That would not be good for the gun.
Yeah.
But the differences in the powder don't matter as much.
No, that's what plus P ammo is.
Oh.
Plus P ammo is just a 9mm bullet with more or hotter burning powder behind it.
You know what? When you tell me about overpressure ammo, for some reason, for the longest time, my mind always imagined some kind of pneumatic pressurized system in the bullet. I didn't really put two and two together. It's just more
Mike.
powder.
It's just more powder, yeah.
It's not a pressurized cartridge.
No. I'm glad that you understand that now.
We were supposed to be doing missions for this guy, and instead we shut up a casino and talked about guns for half
Oh
an
my
hour.
god, yeah. What the hell? I am seriously sorry that I just went on that huge gun rant, though.
No one
I
else
did
is.
not. That was not my intention. Look, there's a Glock right over there.
Your eyes glossed over. You couldn't stop.
No, my eyes glazed over. It was just I was in a fugue state. I have no memory of that. I can't be held accountable for it in court.
Your eyelids closed. Text started scrolling, and you were reading the Wikipedia articles.
In my brain, because I've just downloaded things to my brain now.
Yes, the memory bank.
It's just Johnny Mnemonic up in here. Did you ever see that movie again?
No, I haven't.
All right. So yeah, which caused Kentucky Bliss. Yeah. I'm just going to quickly send out the credits for this video. Always credit the original creators.